Welcome to the College Football Playoff Preview Show on the Grueling True Sports Network. Today, we're going to look at SMU as they travel to Happy Valley to battle the Penn State Nittanylions. Penn State's favored by 8.5 points. And if you want to bet this game, go to our top recommended sportsbook, BetMGM. You can click on the link in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube. All right, guys, I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. I don't think a lot of people thought SMU was going to make the College Football Playoff, and if you'd have told people they were going to make it after losing in the ACC championship game, that would have seemed like a big, long shot. On the Penn State side, finally, they are in the College Football Playoff. Over the last 10 years, it's been among the top power conference teams not to make the CFP, and now gets its chance after a strong 11-2 season, with its only losses being to Ohio State and Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. This team is coming off a good offensive day in the loss to the Ducks. Quarterback Drew Allar announced he's returning next year, and not to be presumptive, but the bracket is relatively favorable, with the winner getting Boise State next. SMU has been a blast to watch this season. It basically paid to get into the Power 4 world of programs, and it was all a wild success with a wonderful season complete with a thriller of a loss to Clemson in the ACC championship game. It's not, let's face it, SMU right now is playing with house money. That's simple. Penn State has a lot of pressure. This is Penn State's first time in the College Football Bowl playoff. It's a 31-20 all time in bowl games. It's just 3-5 in its last 8. Head coach James Franklin overall 6-6 in bowl games, 4-5 at Penn State. SMU has not won a bowl game since 2012 over Fresno State in the Hawaii Bowl. They've been 0-4 since that time. So, not a lot of success until now. The weather forecast is going to be snowy. The temperature is expected to be mid-20s. All the focus will be on the white stuff flying around. It probably won't be all that bad, but there should be enough precipitation to be a factor here. The all-time record between these two teams is 1-0-1. Penn State won that game 28-21 in 1978. The two teams had a 13-13 tie in 1948. Both teams finished undefeated that year also. Why will SMU win this game? It all goes to one thing: tempo, tempo, tempo. The Mustangs can't line up and blast away on the Nittany Lion fronts, and there won't be any power against this bunch on either side. But when everything clicks with this offense, the production is frighteningly efficient. Clemson had LSU all but dead and buried in the ACC championship games. The Mustangs and quarterback Kevin Jennings settled in, and the comeback was breathtaking. SMU has to take the fight to the Nittany Lions secondary right away and make Penn State's quarterback and the offense press. On the other side, here comes the pressure. SMU brings it from all sides. The tackles for loss will be there, and the run defense should hold up. The Mustangs allowed fewer than 100 yards 8 times. But let's look at why Penn State will win. SMU has yet to face power. There wasn't anyone on its schedule who could line up and bash away at a high level, and that included Texas or Clemson. Penn State can't be slow and steady. It has to be aggressive. But that might just work if the weather conditions aren't perfect. The offensive line should generate a huge push for a ground game that averages over 5 yards per carry. The line is good in pass protection. It should give Allar enough time to get the mid-range passing game going, and the defense should do the rest. Clemson might have gone off for 466 yards and USC for 409, both with the good tempo passing attack SMU will bring. But both of those games were anomalies. The Nittany Lion D is 6th in the nation. They've allowed 16.4 points per game. So who wins this game? Takeaways are huge. Penn State doesn't force a ton of them, but when it forces mistakes, forget it, game over. SMU's turnover number is skewed, with 6 coming against Duke, but 3 came in a loss to BYU and 2 more against Clemson. There will be 2 turnovers along the way. That's too many turnovers against a Penn State team that doesn't make a slew of mistakes itself. Just how jacked up will those two be right out of the gate? I mean, these two teams haven't been here before. It's the first game of a basically triple header Saturday that resembles March Madness, only in December with football. It'll be early. The crowd might lead a little bit to get going in the cold and possible snow. Penn State will blast its way to a score on the first drive. The defense will bend without breaking on SMU's first few drives. And then the home side will own the time of possession battle. SMU doesn't care about that. It scores fast, moves fast, flies fast, and it gets off the field fast, and that doesn't work. And that's the big issue here. The Mustangs will come up with a few good scoring drives, but Penn State will be able to do what Clemson couldn't, take the air out of the ball in the fourth quarter. So I believe this game comes out with Penn State getting a big early lead. SMU fights back a little bit. Penn State takes over, pounding the ball at SMU in the fourth quarter. They end up winning. They end up covering. I like in this game Penn State 27, SMU 17. I'm going to go ahead and give the 8.5 points, even though that worries me a lot because that's a lot of points. And I think SMU is a good team that does deserve to be here. But right now, I'm going to say Penn State wins. Penn State covers. I wouldn't bet a lot of money on the point spread here, but I do think Penn State will cover this game in the end. All right, guys, you can follow me on X at Grilling Truth. Make sure if you want to bet on this game, you go to BetMGM, the top sportsbook for betting on college football. You can check, click in a link to the description down below if you're watching on YouTube. Go follow thegrillingtruth.com. But guys, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grilling Truth, where the legends speak.